Don't. There we go. All right, folks. Looks like we're live. Smash that like button. Thanks for watching Common Sense Fishing. Got a great story for you guys. Got a good night tonight. We'll wrap this week up with a pretty little bow. And then next week, we're going to have our giveaway. So I'll repeat this a little bit later when we get some more people on. So everybody knows what's going on. Again, thanks for watching. Excuse me. Oh, man. Just had dinner. Oof. My little sipper cup. What's going on? Keeping it real. I got one hell of a story to tell you guys. Make sure you smash that like button. All right. So I went fishing to Lake Don Pedro today and had a blast. Did not catch a lot of bass, though. I got one bass and like maybe 20, 25 easy trout. And I just decided to make it a trout day again. I did not power bait fish, but maybe one, maybe two fish. And I was bored of that. I said, you know, so I pulled out a little inline spinner, little MEPS or whatever they are, little spinner, and went to town. Just started covering water in this one stretch and just caught trout after trout after trout. And you guys, we're going to tie a couple stories in and a couple of theories in tonight. So guys were telling me they're graphing fish around the 40 feet range or so, which makes sense for there to be probably good numbers of bass down there right now. Goby and sculpin right now that deep, or could be and should be in that area. Ned rigs, stuff like that, and tubes will work. Anything, you know, with a smaller profile, working it on the bottom and slow should get you your fish right now. But okay, so what I did was I didn't even get there till like 11 o'clock, 10:30, something like that. So I drove my truck all the way out to Fleming Point. And you guys remember we're talking, this should be false spawn right now. There should be some fish spawning, or not really spawning, but doing all the similar stuff. And sure enough, I just seen a good amount of bass at one spot that were moving and cruising in a zone, and they wouldn't leave the zone alone. They'd cruise, and then they'd see you and they'd spook out. They came back a few minutes later, they were still there, and they wouldn't touch any of yours. They'd move away. And I was like, perplexed, but I tried, you know, I didn't really try too hard. I only tried like 3 different lures for them. With that being said, and I didn't fish too long for them. I just moved to a different area, and I only had seen a few, but they were, I thought they might have been trout. I wasn't sure, but they were in like 3 to 5 feet of water. And eventually I got a decent look at one of them, and they were bass. So that's how I know they were bass. But anyways, so I'm on this point. I see some fish basically out 5, 6 feet deep, you know, out a little bit, but not too far, just as far as I could see on the bottom. And you can see them. And they'd kind of move if you moved. If you cast it at them, they slowly move around, but they wouldn't hit your stuff, right? And I'm like, what the hell? And I was using a crankbait, and I had a big old trout follow it in and turn around. Hey, Charles Chuck, what's going on? So I move over by the launch ramp, and this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets fun. Now, I get there, and there's this guy telling me that he'd seen some bass out. Maybe it wasn't more than 10 feet deep, you know, swimming real slow, moving towards some cover. And he said he had seen a bunch of bass sitting on this thing, this structure piece, you know, probably only a foot or two underwater in the morning. And there was only like one left, right? And I'm at a lower advantage point. He's up a little bit higher than me. He said, yeah, there's one, but it's swimming off. This is at Don Pedro. And so I'm like, okay. And he tells me, hey, I've been getting 4 and 5 pound bass in here on a fluke and some other stuff. And he goes, they're moving. He goes, they're really either up shallow or they're moving out deep. And he goes, and they're moving back and forth. And sometimes they're suspended too. He's like, they're crazy. They're doing all this different stuff. They were getting them because they just planted trout, right? So they just planted trout, Fleming Meadows, Lake Don Pedro. And I'm there maybe a week after the trout plant, right? Which is today, just this morning. And I've been fishing for bass, and I bought minnows, and I was going to do this whole minnow versus fake lure and see what caught more fish. And I caught, we'll get into that. But I throw minnows on bobbers and all kinds of stuff and can't get any fish. I get 2 bites, pulls the minnow right off, and nothing hooked. Just bobber goes down. By the time I get to it, bobber pops back up. Nothing for a few. Reel it in, minnow's gone. Like, what the hell? So those were probably trout, but or spotted bass, and I don't know. Maybe they were just stealing my bait, basically. But so I threw minnows even and couldn't get a bass at first. So I pull out the drop shot with a Berkeley Gulp. Sure enough, I ended up getting a bass. So I was like, the Berkeley Gulp outperformed the damn minnow, and it was in the similar depth pattern. So I had caught a bass. I'm feeling good. I'm like, all right. And I start noticing there's all these trout swimming around, and I start seeing these bass swimming in the school of trout too, or right behind them and with them. But the bass are like almost the same size as the trout, a little bit bigger. It's like, this is interesting. And so anyways, I cast out, and right away, soon as I casted, I go to try to set the pole down, and as I'm looking, I see the slack start moving, and I'm like, oh, no way. So I turn around, and sure enough, it starts jumping. Boom, got him. Got it all on video and stuff, right? So I get my trout, I'm all excited. I get it in. Okay, great. Then I get it off, and I'm like, all right, that was fun. Then I throw some more power bait out. Nothing. More power bait here. Nothing. I can see trout moving around, swimming around. Nothing. I'm like, screw this. So I broke that setup off, and then put a inline spinner on, and I started catching trout. Well, at first, what happened is I'm using bass gear, right? So I'm using bass rods, even for trout standards, just stiffer rods, even flexible drop shot rods and stuff, right? Trout rods are just real flexible. So they're hitting, boom, and then just popping right off. Like, I'm not hooking any of them, and I missed probably like 10, or like maybe 5 or 6. I don't know, I might be exaggerating. I don't know, 8 something. Who knows? A good amount though. I missed a good amount. And already after like the second or third one, I started realizing, because trout gears are supposed to be more flexible, their mouth's softer. It's like, my rods are too stiff. So and these were the smallest rods I had. So I'm like, well, let me just really lighten my drag. So I just kept loosening my drag. And sure enough, I hit the right sweet spot. And whenever those fish hit, boom, they were hooked almost every time almost. I miss a few here and there. Your trout, they'll hit you like a ton of bricks too. Even the little ones, they hit you hard. Boom. So your pole goes, it's real fun. Especially throwing the MEPS. So I started throwing the MEPS. And this is probably, I go and I get a hamburger before this, and I eat lunch, and I love, relax and have a good time. So I go out there and I get the hamburger, I do all that. And then I notice, I come back and I'm fishing, and I notice, hey, I'm just having a good time catching these trout. But I had caught one bass in the same area. I seen bass present. So I'm like, every once in a while, I throw an LV 500, a drop shot, or something else. Nothing, right? So I start noticing there's like a pair of fish, it looks like, in front of me, because I see the trout moving constantly. And I started noticing there's like a nice looking fish that's just sitting in front of me, like in 3 feet out, 4 feet out, just as far out as I could see. But I'm dead sure it's a fish. And there's a smaller one, or like, I think it's about a 3 pounder, maybe even a four, and then about maybe a 2 or 3 with it, and then a smaller one, like a pound and a half. So I see this trio of fish, just nice fish, and I notice they're in this flat with hard bottom, and they're just sitting in this one area. So I throw an LV at them. They slowly move off. They move out the way. I use the LV. They don't seem any interested at all. I get it in. All right. I throw the drop shot past them. I wiggle jiggle slowly, drag slowly. They don't seem interested. And I'm like, and I notice, I'm like, they're bass for sure. So I just go back to catching trout. So I'm catching trout, having a good time. And I'm probably about 3/4 of my way through the day now with trout. I probably got like 15 trout at this point, or 12 trout or something. I'm having a blast. When I hook this trout and it goes near those 3 fish, right? The 3 or 4 pounder one that I thought lokes up, and I see it flare its mouth, and I see it turn sideways, and you can watch that bluish green hue turn real silvery, and the trout cuts this way, and the bass, I watch its mouth flare open and close again, and I watch it chase the trout, and the bass starts hitting the trout, boom, boom, on the side. And it to me, the bass very much appeared to be not trying to eat the trout. It appeared to be trying to eat whatever was in the trout's mouth. Like it knew the trout had something, and it was pecking at it. And I could feel the bass hit the trout. And then once I felt the bass hit the lure and get stuck even. And I had bass trout next to each other for a brief second. And then it pops off, flares its mouth, and then turns around. And it goes right back to its spot. And I'm like, holy smokes. And I have it all on video. This like nice bass trying to eat my trout, or trying to, in my opinion, I don't think it's trying to eat it, because I gave it slack line and I let it chase the trout around, and then I'd corral the trout even and pull it. Fish, the bass would not, it wasn't trying to hit it from the head. The bass wasn't even trying to open its mouth and put the trout in it. Angry at the trout and or flexing on it, and it was trying to get, I seen the bass with my own 2 eyes attacking the trout's face, and it didn't appear like it was trying to engulf the trout. It was more like, and like trying to get whatever the trout had in its mouth. It's classic. I've seen spotted bass and largemouth, when you catch them and they come up 2 or 3 at a time and they're fighting over a lure, but only one of them's hooked and the other 2 are circling and moving and even hitting. They're trying to take whatever food that bass has. They're not trying to save the bass. They're literally trying to steal whatever food that bass has. So anyways, that's what it really appeared to me what that bass was doing. It may have been trying to eat the trout, but I don't know. So anyways, I'm just like, oh, and I'm thinking maybe a jerk bait, or obviously a trout swim bait or something, obviously set that bass off, pissed it off. And the other 2 didn't do nothing, right? They were just like chill. The smaller bass that I was telling you, there was like a trio of them, right? And the bass was the bigger one was the largemouth, and it looked like there might have been maybe a 2, 1.5, 2 pound, something like that. Another either spotted bass or largemouth, and then there was one that I thought was for sure a spotted bass, but it was only like a pound plus, right? So anyways, there's a trio of them. The bass tries to eat my trout, and I'm just like, that's crazy. So I keep trout fishing, and I actually try to catch that bass all day. I can go, and occasionally it'll swim off, and I'll come back, and no matter what, that trio of bass, especially the big one, was always in that same location. So that ties in with like Again, they don't have eggs in them, but they will go through all of the same like signs and patterns that spawn. They may even make a bed. You may even notice, why the hell does it look like they're dusted out circles on the ground right now? If you see those in the fall, a lot of the time that's a bass coming up, making a bed, sitting there, and thinking it's time to mate, but it's not. And the big females will come up too, even, and they'll sit there. It's like it's called a false spawn, and a lot of guys are either against it or for it. And when I say a false spawn, I'm not saying like a real spawn. Almost all bass have that call to Mother Nature to go. During a false spawn, it seems like some bass, not all bass, because there'll be huge portions of them that may still be out deep. They could be schooled up, whatever. But you'll still have, like I said, check during fall, cruise the shoreline. You're going to see freakazoid groups of 2 to 3 bass sitting up in shallow water together. You'll spook them, but they won't leave the spot. You'll notice, like any other time of year, if it ain't spawn and you spook a fish, it ain't coming back. You know what I mean? Most likely, it's gone and it ain't coming back. It'll just go on its way, right? But if you are in like a period where a fish is locked into a location, and it's not going nowhere. So anyways, this stupid fish went right back to its spot. I threw a couple of lures at it, an LV 500, probably about 10, 12 casts. I threw a drop shot at it, a few. I think I threw a crankbait at it a few times, slow and fast. I did all kinds of different stuff. But so I keep going about my day fishing, and towards the evening, this Asian guy parks and he, walks down and he sees me, he says hi, he recognizes me, he says, "Hey, how's it going?" And we talk for a bit, and I told him, he goes, "Are you catching any fish?" And I said, "Yeah, I got one bass." And I go, "But I got a bunch of trout." And he goes, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they planted trout." And he's all excited. He goes, "Yeah, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, these are fresh planted trout." And I even told him there's bass chasing them. So if if you want bass fish, be my guest, fish with me, whatever. And I told him, I told him I was all going off about the false spawn and shit. He probably looked at me like I'm crazy. And I told him, I said, "There's like a 4-pounder on a bed right here." And I was like, it's like sitting there, not like a bed, but like an area that looks like it's been cleaned off. Not necessarily, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it did look like it had been dusted off. Like it was easy to spot, let's just say that. And it had a zone, like it was like a lot bigger than during spawn. It was like this 2 to 3 foot wide, big flat area that this bass just would not leave. Mostly, like if you really spooked it, or like if you got too close to the edge of the water where it could see you, it would back off just where you couldn't see it, just out of view. But it didn't do it fast. It just disappeared. And then a few minutes later, sure enough, it's back. So I was telling them all about it, and I said, "There's one right here." She's like, "Oh," so he makes a few casts, but then he makes one. He's using a big swim bait, right? A trout swim bait. And he casts and bombs it way past. And he's bringing it right over where I told him there was like a 3 or 4 pound bass. And then all of a sudden, boom, he gets smashed and he sets the hook and he gets it. We're like, oh, he thinks it's like maybe a 4 or 5. I think it's that 3 or 4 pounder. And he gets it in and it's like 2.5 pounds, something like that, just over 2 pounds. But it was nice, big old fat mouth, big old belly. It wasn't that big. It's just like water distorts things. And I thought it was bigger than it was. I was all excited. But I could barely see it too, because also I'm catching these little trout. So this thing just seemed huge compared to these trout. You know what I mean? But the funny story is this guy literally was able to activate this bass and get it to attack aggressive too. And it was the same thing. It was like using a trout swim bait, and he just swam it right over this bass's head. And this bass just crushed it. And just like the bass tried to like either crush my real life trout or steal whatever it had in its mouth, highly aggressive but highly intelligent. It wouldn't eat anything thrown at it that wasn't what it was keyed in on. So it was a great learning lesson, a reminder of why you need to still have a big swim bait and also glide bait and stuff like that tied on, or at least not tied on, but if not one ready with the right gear to throw it on. Because if you see one of these 8, 10, 12 monsters, you see a monster and it won't hit everything else you're throwing at it. I'm telling you, I've seen it with my own two eyes, and unfortunately, it's never been me. Hey, Gerbs, it's always been like my friends. And sure enough, like I'll throw every dumb lure at it, and then I'll get tired of messing with it, and I'll be like, I know you can get it with a swim bait, so I'll be like, have a crack at it, because I just get like, I don't know, I don't have a lot of them, and then they're expensive to lose, and I never had the right gear. And when I've ever had fish, I've either caught super dinks or lost whatever I've had hooked on because, again, not having the right gear. It's always been my fault, not approaching it correctly, like being cheap about it, trying to throw a $60 swim bait on a $50 combo, and wonder and get all pissed when I snag or can't get it out. Or if I do get bit and I get crushed, I can't even hook it. I get all frustrated. So, but that's all been due to user error. You know what I mean? But I think it was a good learning lesson of how to trigger and turn a bass on. I might have been able to throw a jerk bait over it and then trigger it the same way. There's a couple of lures I might have been able to throw at it that I didn't try, but life's a learning lesson. So it was cool getting to watch the dude catch. I got it all on video, so I got him catching the bass on video. I got the bass trying to eat my trout. So it's all a pretty cool, sweet little thing. And I was like right where I told him the bass was. Like I wasn't fooling around. Like I seen this bass all day just mugging me, which is like, again, it kind of leads credence to that false spawn where their bass are kind of doing some similar stuff. And anyone who's had a tough spawn fishing day, spawn can be great, some of the best fishing ever. But the fish can also, during certain sets during the spawn, like during certain like right before or after egg laying type stuff, the females can get real weird. They can get tough to catch. The males can also go from hyper aggressive, where they're almost the only thing you're going to catch because they're hitting the bait so quick, to like where it's hard to even get them to bite. So spawn has those days in it that can be really tough, right? Where you can see the fish, but you can't figure out how to get them to bite. And they may attack or look at your lure, but they won't commit. And so there's similar times in the fall, I think, when the fish can get like that. And it was cool to witness. And there was a bunch of other bass guys in boats that I recognized, and we were chatting. And some guys, were telling me where they were graphing fish and seeing fish and, and doing okay and what they were doing. But other guys were like, they had a tough time, didn't really catch a lot of fish, and showing me where they're graphing them and catch, and I'm like, well, because they were saying they were seeing them in like between 35 and 40 plus feet deep, and big groupings of them they just wouldn't hit. And so I'm like, well, shoot, I'm not going to be able to cast that deep. So I started focusing on mid and shallow. And sure enough, I got a bass on my own right in that range where it was like maybe in only 10, 12 feet of water. And it was on the bottom, just like, and it was in one area. Like if I casted quite a few casts right there and didn't get bit, it was as soon as I hit this like key area right by the dock, where I'm sure there must have been like a little false spawn bed or something there, as the bass was just sitting on it, and all around it the bass wouldn't go to the lure. As soon as I knocked on its head, it bit, and it was just the weight, just a little in the weight, and then I just lifted up and got him, drop shot bass. So got all that on video, so we'll be releasing that next week. How's it going? Hell if I know. Nice to see everybody on tonight. Smash that like if you get a chance. Happy Friday, TGIF. Hope everybody has had a good week and will have an even better weekend. So, happy Veterans Day to the veterans out there. And hope everybody stays safe this weekend. Have a good time. I know a lot of people are going to be doing things with family and, going out. And, my kids are going to be leaving the state for Thanksgiving to go see their mom in Oklahoma. So they're doing that next Saturday. So I think next Friday we're going to go see Ghostbusters, do all that. We've just been hanging out at home, binging Netflix and stuff like that, hanging out on the couch. Kids been watching anime and all that good stuff. So boats in the shop, still in the shop. So I've been still shore fishing. So I was shore fishing today out at Lake Don Pedro. Hopefully you guys heard the story. And I had a bass try to eat my trout and go right back to the same spot. And then a guy showed up with a swim bait, caught that bass. It wasn't a big bass, but it was a cool story to see. I've got it all on video. I learned a few lessons about, triggering a bigger fish to strike. And I seen there was two smaller ones with it, and this one wasn't having none of it. So it was pretty cool to see. And also another friend of mine was there, and he said they're getting them in the 4 to 5 pound range on some certain lures. So I was pretty stoked to hear that. But that was all like last week, in the last few days. So fishing's been getting a little tougher, but I'd like to go spend some time out there and figure them out. So I can't wait to hopefully get that boat back soon, get the fish finder hooked up, working correctly, everything charging and working right, and going from there, and making that boat a real fish catching machine again, because the last year it's really been fish by intuition and fish by feel. I have not been using the fish finder for almost a year now, due to it being somehow damaged again. The cord, even though I have that little protector thing on it, has gotten pinched enough times or twisted enough times where it doesn't read again. So it has the map, and it has, like the depth and temperature. Well, it doesn't even do depth. Sorry, it does temperature and the map. But the depth and the radar come out all screwy looey. It even does depth kind of a little bit, but not really. It bounces back and forth, and it'll occasionally find it, because the cord's got to have some kind of kinks in it and some weak spots in it, I'm assuming. It could also be that the battery for it maybe isn't fully charged or charged correctly, because I didn't realize it, but the charger for that side has went out some time ago. So when I charge the boat up, it's charging the big motor and it's charging the trolling motor, but it doesn't charge the other stuff. So that battery, either the fuse or the charger's gone bad. So the mechanic's taking care of all that for me, and we'll have it up and running. But anyways, long story short, I'm excited to hopefully have that boat ready so I can use that fish finder again, or get a better fish finder and really hone in and find these fish. Because if I can eliminate, the water where there isn't fish and know that there is fish there, I can almost always figure out how to get them to bite. It's just having the willpower. And today I learned that, because I know I could have done a couple of different things to probably try to get that fish to bite. There were a couple of lures I did not throw. But the thing is, in my defense, is I left most of my lures in my boat. So they're all in the shop. So what I kept is the blade bait rattle trap LV500 spoon box, the jerk bait box, the square bill crankbait box, and I have a terminal tackle box with like hooks and weights and Ned rig heads and all that. But I don't really have much rubber. I do have one little bag of some miscellaneous rubbers that aren't like my favorite. So I've been severely limited on what I can or can't throw. And so it's been frustrating. And then fishing from the shore, you get snagged a lot. So it's really like, what do you say, second habit to want to go back to something like a spinnerbait, a crankbait, a jerk bait, something that it floats and moves, or that I can keep on above, the contact with the bottom. And it helps some lures like a spinnerbait. I can let it sink and get close to the bottom, but I can mostly avoid pulling my spinnerbait up giant rocks and boulders and then getting it snagged. And then because it's a bar, you can almost always pull it out of anything anyways. Just shake it a little bit, or give it some slack before you fully wedge it in. But if you're pulling a spinnerbait from the shore uphill, it's really hard to lose them. Yeah. Nice shirt. Thanks. Appreciate it. Old Dirty Bassin. Repping old Virgil, a.k.a. Vince. We got a cool little family here. I tell you what, fishing family. We go out to the Delta on the regular, and Virgil, me and him always go get like a little Bentley, and our usual goal is we end up eating food and getting bent and catching a ton of fish, which we usually do. And he turns into, I call him Vince instead of Virgil. And then our buddy Darren, instead of Darren, I call him Daryl. And then I tell them to call me Steve instead of Sam. Like all dyslexic. We're all bent. Inside jokes. Anyways, so repping good old Vince's shirt here. I had to open up the bag of trolleys. I got the munchies. Yummy. I tried to catch a fish with a different gummy bear earlier. It didn't work. It will work, and it could work, but not that day. Not today. I tried it. It was hard to get the bass to bite. I got one. And I had 2 live minnows ripped off the bobber where the bobber went underwater, and then I didn't get to the pole by the time it popped back up, so I lost both of those. Those were probably bass. I tried to float and fly, and I got a hit on that too, but I think that was a trout. It was real quick and hard, and when the bobber went under and I got it, we didn't hook it. So, yeah, go figure. This dang fly. I tell you what, I'm gonna have a judo match with this bastard. I'm gonna catch that fly. Goodness, it's too cold. I haven't even turned the heater on in here. Shouldn't be no flies in here. Ugh, it's annoying. I hate trying to do a live stream and there's a fly flying around their head. Like, the hell kind of crap is that? Anyways, TGIF, hope everybody's going to have a good one. I plan on hopefully doing some fishing with a buddy this Sunday, and we'll see how that goes. I'll report back on that. We'll do a video or something. But in the meantime, I've got some stuff to do tomorrow. I might do a little shore fishing with my son. We'll see how it goes. But there'll be another trout video coming for sure. And I think I'm going to cut it into a couple of videos where I'm going to do, one's going to be a trout fishing video, and then the other is going to be the saga of the bass that tried to eat the trout that then got caught by the swim bait later on in the day. And then I'll include some random cuts while I'm trout fishing of me pointing out those bass, being like, they're still here. What the hell? Like, they were like spawning. It was crazy. Like, I'd cast lures at them. They just wouldn't touch nothing. Oh, it was nuts. lesson learned, lesson learned. So always got to keep an open mind, and you learn stuff every day. So I love fishing. Pick up anything that I can. If there's something that'll help me catch more fish, I'm on it. I'm on like a cranberry detox. That cranberry juice is nasty. Ooh, yeah. Anybody else know what I mean with that cranberry juice? Oh, bad for you. That's good for you, but candy's not good for you. I better put that away. Stop messing with it. All right. So got my little story out the way. Now, next week, we're going to be doing the giveaway. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We're having a poll to see what everybody wants. So lure pack for this month, and next month is going to be Christmas, and we're doing something special. All the members getting something. And then January, we're giving away a combo. So go check that poll out. See what you might be interested in getting a chance at winning. Spinning combo, bait casters. So there's a poll out, and whatever gets the most answers is going to be what I go with. So if you guys want to get a chance to, hey, Mike, put your 2 cents in over there. Let me know what you guys think. I've tried to put a couple of posts and community polls out. Like I said, we got some trout fishing videos coming out, and boats in the shop. So as far as production on any fishing stuff right now, it's just on temporary hold until we get everything ready. But then we're going to be looking at fishing some tournaments hopefully next year. I'm excited. So I've already promised one dude I'll be his tournament partner all year. So I'll be in his boat. He's got a Ranger. He's the captain. I'll be back of the boat, dude. So we're going to fish like for the TOC. So we're going to see how, we can try to win tournaments as well. But we also want to try to get into the championship and win the big money, right? That's what it's all about, swinging big. So we're going to have fun. That's what it's really all about, having a good time. And I might fish like 2 or 3 circuits this year with like 2 or 3 guys. It just depends on what I can afford and what, goes on in life. But I'm for sure signed on to one circuit. I'll let you guys know what circuit that is. Me and him are talking about it. He kind of wants me to choose. I'm like, or at least give him like my 2 cents because he's down with New Gen, a couple of others, BBT. We're looking at a bunch of different others. So I don't know. I was in Future Pro Tour for a while. That was fun. But I don't know if we want to jump back in that circuit right now. What circuit we're going to jump in. But probably be New Gen or one of the similar ones, BBT or something like that. But we'll keep you guys posted, and that'll be for next year. Now that's going to be in his boat. So in my boat, I'm going to want to be running river rat tournaments. Maybe some windy Wednesday nighters. I might drop in on a rando tourney here and there for like Future Pro and a couple others. But as far as New Gen, I'm pretty sure it's either going to be New Gen or BBT or one of the, and there's a third one we're looking at. We'll end up joining one of those and go hard all year, kind of like, go for the Super Bowl, right? So if you lose a game, that's all right. The end goal is also the big prize at the end. So we're going to try to win every game on the way there, but the idea is going to go have a good time and see what we could do. So that should be coming up next year. Just wintertime, I'm gonna get out. I fish in the rain a lot. So I'm gonna get out there and put on hopefully some good blade bait, LV 500 videos like I did last year. If you guys go check those out. New Maloney's was on fire, like just a little bit from now. So I'm super excited for when I do get the boat back Now, in the meantime, how can I help you guys and gals out? Let's talk about some things like learning to reinvent yourself. It's quite a thing when you've been doing one thing for so long. It takes a while to readjust to doing something else. And for example, I shore fished all my life. So when I first got a boat, I really had to learn the nuances of fishing out of the boat, how to control the trolling motor, how to control the boat, what to do in certain situations with high wind or big waves, what was my threshold or safety limit, for what I felt I could take as far as conditions, and never do anything super stupid, right? And I learned and I got better, and it's been a great journey so far. And then when you go without having a boat and you go back to fishing on shore, um, some of it comes right back to you like riding a bike. Some of it is a little bit like you already know it, but what happens is you can kind of get stuck in your ways. So like you want to end up fishing like you're on a boat, but you're really on shore. And I know that one technique or two or three might really kill it, but I'm stubborn and I want to throw certain other ones. Yeah, it's a bit tough when you have to recondition yourself and reinvent yourself. So a little advice is no matter how tough it is, just keep trying, keep your head up, you'll get there. And just remember the fundamentals. The fundamentals, they're important in all aspects. So any type of fishing you're doing, if you just take a few minutes to think it through, you should usually be able to conquer a lot of your situations. Just be calm, level headed. But for example, fishing wise, when you're transferring from fishing on a boat to fishing on shore again, one of the things you might have to contemplate is if you know the fish are on the bottom, but every time you cast, you get snagged. So then you get frustrated and you throw a top water jerkbait, crankbait, or something else that's not going to get down there. You're going to wonder why you didn't get any fish, right? So you got to think outside the box and figure out what kind of baits can you fish the bottom without getting snagged, or how can you fish the bottom and decrease your chances of getting snagged. So go to the lures then that have round heads that don't fall into cracks easy. One lure to change to would be a Texas rig. Even in heavy, nasty rocks, you can crawl that thing. When you feel yourself pulling into a snag, you can pop it out. There's two different types of ways you'll pull it into a rocky snag. Texas rig is you'll either pull it into a crevice where it'll almost just bind slowly but surely. And with that one, you just need to kind of, once you feel that you're in something really hard before you dig in and pull even harder, that snag you need to kind of shake and get it out. And once you feel it get free, you need to kind of give it a really hard pop to get it over. And when you feel yourself pulling into, say, a big boulder like a rock, right, and you're crawling along, and then there's a rock, and you hit that. When you feel that, you want to give that one some slack and then pull up, and you may feel it hit the snag and bounce off. So it may even take two, but just depends on how big it is and what it is. But learning to feel the contact with the bottom again is super important, and has been in a manner where you're pulling. See, a lot of guys, when they bottom bounce, like I've talked about this, I did whiteboard videos, will like to cast at the shore and bring their lure down. It's more dynamic that way, as far as it's more, I guess you would say, not aero, but water dynamics. And it's almost like, it's not impossible, but it's a lot harder to get snagged. Now your lure rests on top of rocks, and then when you pull it, you just pull it down a rock onto the next one, and then move, and then down onto the next one. And even if you crawl it and drag it, it's really hard to get it snagged. I mean, not that hard, but it's a lot harder. If you're pulling a bottom bouncer against the rocks like this, then it's like excruciatingly easy to get snagged. So you have to recondition yourself to like how you pull your bait up so that you don't get snagged, or b, changing the types of setups that you have but still being able to keep it on the bottom, and then you can avoid getting snagged and hung up, and you'll catch more fish like that. So and the vice versa, if you're someone who likes to power fish and now you're stuck on shore and you're used to being able to run and gun, sit there for a while and do the old Bill Dance rainbow casts where you start, like slices of a pie, where you're sitting on shore and make a parallel cast this way and then one that way, then one that way, and just until you cover that whole thing. And then when you're done, do it again. And you'll be surprised where you'll make like 10 casts and then you'll finally get a fish. Because the spot may load up, fish may be moving around, or B, that it just may have took a few casts to draw that fish out. So before you give up, don't be too dumb, like as far as don't sit there for a day and a half, right? Wasting all your time in one spot. But sometimes if you're shore fishing, it can actually be a positive for you. When you're in a boat, sometimes one of the hindrances can be the run and gun it kind of fever, where you're too fast, you're too quick, the boat floats, right? The wind pushes the boat and moves the boat around. So like you're standing on the boat casting and you don't realize that had you been standing on like the ground, right, just you would work it a certain way. But if the boat's slowly moving, you're pulling at the same time, and so you're leaving your lure there. So you have to be conscious of that. There's a lot of stupid nuances that it takes getting used to, right? And so being back on shore has been a humbling experience that I have to kind of recondition myself. And then the willpower too. So like with a boat, you don't like the spot, you can just up and leave. You can run and gun it. With the shore, it's like, man, you can only fish so much on the shore before you encounter usually a nasty point, or especially McClure or Pedro, or a mucky, muddy area, Eastman, super mud. So it's like, you know what I mean? What your options are on the shore are very limited. And so kind of forces you to fish slower and more methodically and thorough. And it's humbling when you actually start catching good fish and more fish like you would, let's say, back in the days from shore, because you're getting back into that rut. And then you realize, man, when you're on a boat, how often you're probably overfishing and fishing too fast and blowing over all these fish. Had you made a couple more casts, or had you just spot locked or fought the wind a little bit with your trolling motor to remain in position and worked your lure correctly. Because if you account for the boat drag with the wind too, and you think you're dragging, you could be swimming your jig through the water instead of actually hopping it and roll. So there's a lot of different little things. It's been an experience. It's been fun. So hope you guys enjoy this next couple of weeks of footage. Is going to be something different from the channel, right? So, I always was wondering, would the channel be good if like I went and I got to actually do good shore fishing. Lately it's been lots of little fish, nothing big. We got to go find some big hogs. If we're going to shore fish, we go catch like a monster striper, catfish. Only problem we got California is shore fish wise in our rivers. The biggest things we have are like the squaw, the whatever, like the pike minnow, the catfish, and the carp, really, and some striper. We have some big striper sometimes. Salmon, the rivers are closed right now for the salmon, so you can't really count that. But even then, we just don't have like alligator gar and pike and We don't have these crazy exotic big fish. So carp, right? That's about the biggest thing I could go find right now to go catch. But then people are gonna be like, "Yeah, you catching carp?" I guarantee you, if I focused on just catching crappie and I did that for like a year, the channel would probably blow up. Crappie channel, you know? Oh yeah, we love crappie. But hey, I don't got that good of luck with crappie. Plus, I don't fish for them. You know, I can catch them, but I've always been like stumble on them by luck. Usually, catch them with a drop shot or something. But crappie jigs, yeah, I used to do that with my buddy Jeremy, and we'd catch them. And he's caught some monster crappie. I've caught a few good ones, but yeah, Lake Yosemite is down and Bear Creek is pretty dry as well. Yeah, I just released a trout video at Lake Yosemite. I caught my limit 5 and then I took off. It was pretty popping. I probably could have caught 30 or 40 that day had I just stayed, the whole day. I just didn't want to kill fish because I didn't have a little pair of pliers and there was a set of Asian dudes on each side of me. And the video actually didn't even catch it all. I caught like 10. So I fed both guys. I gave them my limits and they took off. And then when they took off, I was like, well, I don't want to just start catching trout and killing them. So I'm like, because, you catch one and even if you hook it right away, getting the hook out of its mouth, just holding the stupid thing, by the time you get the hook out and you put it back in the water, it's dead. It's like those poor guys. So I made sure I didn't want to abuse, I didn't want to leave any dead fish. So I gave them to the neighbor guys and said, here you go. And, that was that. So then I fished and had a good time. But today I used a MEPS spinner at Don Pedro and smacked like 20 plus trout. I don't know how many, 25. Got a bunch. All on video too. Crazy. And the bass trying to eat the trout. That's just about the craziest thing I'm like recording it. Am I getting this? I'm like, oh my God. Check it out, guys. Just pinched the barb. Yeah. I don't have no pliers. See, my boat's in the shop. I need to just pack a pair from here because I've got a pair here somewhere on my truck, my work truck. But I have like a couple pair in the boat, right? And I left my jig box. I left my Cinco. I left my drop shot worm box. I left like my Ned rig stuff. I left all kinds of stuff in the boat. So all I have is mostly hard baits and then soft plastics that I'm not too happy with, that are like me. So it's like old school trash fishing. I reach in and I just scratch my chin and figure out what's the best of what I got that might catch some fish. And I go catch one or two, get lucky. Man. But I know I'm like, if I had a micro jig right now, or if I had a drop shot like this, or if I had that, but I don't have any of my stuff. So I just make do with what I got. And like I said, once I started seeing those trout, I was like, well, today's video can be a trout video. So I'm like, I caught a bass. I seen a bass, just mugging me all day long, staring at me. I try to catch it with everything. I'm like, I give up. I was like, let me just catch trout. And I sure did. I ain't gonna lie. I'm glad. I know I always carry like a 5-pack of trout spinners in my terminal tackle kit. So wherever like my Texas rig and my Ned rig and drop shot, I got a box that's just all my different hooks and weights, right? Well, in one corner, I've got a little jumble of trout lures. Always have to have them. They're like, they come in a clutch, Did I take it to Adams on Santa Fe? No. Oliver's Outboards. Oliver has my boat. Jason Oliver from Modesto. He's got it in his little backyard shop. He's worked on it before, so and I've heard good word from him from a lot of people, so it's hard to find good people, so you know what I mean? I know even good people make mistakes, It's how we handle them. So I'm just like, taking trust, and he's done good by me so far. So, hey, I'm happy. But yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be in the shop. Could be for weeks. I heard Adam, I think, sold his shop. I'm not sure. Somebody was telling me that he sold it and then bought a house somewhere. So I don't know if the new owner is going to have a boat business or if something else. And I noticed the boats in the yard seem to have been a lot less. Not sure. So, but shout out to Jason Oliver Outboard if you guys need help with your boating stuff. But smash that like if you guys get a chance. It's been a wild ride. I caught a bunch of trout. I had a bass try to eat my trout, and then a dude came by right then. Well, not right then, but a little bit later, and used a swim bait. And I told him right where to cast, and sure enough, bam, he got it. It was like crazy to see that activate that bass. When all day that bass been mugging me and wouldn't hit my LV, wouldn't hit my drop shot, and wouldn't hit a minnow. So I was like, you stupid fish. I put a minnow in its face, it wouldn't hit it. Actually, I think it did eat the minnow, but I didn't get it. It like pulled the minnow off the bobber. But it could have been a trout, because at that point, there's so many trout swimming around right there too. And I lost two that I didn't, so I'm pretty sure they're trout. So usually you're using a minnow. That was crazy. You have live minnows and just strike out that much. But you know what? My mistake is the lady asked me if I wanted small or large or medium, and he goes, "Oh, we don't have large." So I said, "Just give me half small, half medium," and the medium were like nice, and the small were like this, like goldfish. I was like, "Oh," and I actually had like a couple bites on the bigger ones, on the mediums, and shoot myself in the foot. So, anyways, but once I seen those trout, I was like, game over. Let's go trout fishing. That was cool. Anyways, the trout fisherman, or not the trout fisherman, the swim bait dude, his name I want to say was Adam as well, and something like that. And Asian dude, nice guy. He was throwing the swim bait, and he was talking about how his buddies have like 15 pounds for 3 fish. I think he's doing like a competition thing. And he's like, dang it, he's not going to enter this. He goes, it's too small. But he was stoked to still catch it. We thought it was a 3 or 4 pounder at first, but no, my eyesight bad or something. I don't know. I think it grew. The fish grew in weight because he's antagonizing me all day, just staring at me, swimming back and forth, staring at me. And he wouldn't bite nothing. I take it personal. It was so funny. But I take it in a funny ass in a good way. Like, I take it with the fish was personal. Like, you booger wouldn't eat the other lures. But I didn't throw a bunch of stuff at him. I threw like 3 different types of lures at him, maybe 25, 30 casts throughout the day, and different 5 casts here, 10 casts there, 5 casts there. God, I just said, I'm not going to screw with this stupid thing. So I proceeded to catch just a ton of trout, and then that dude just shows up. Bam! First cast. As soon as that, I told him there's a bass right here. He's like, oh, yeah, he cast right there. Boom! I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, shoot. He got all excited, too. But then when he got it in, it was like, oh, well, it's not that big, but hey, take it. I was like, yeah. That was a good swim bait fish. It's still a fish, right? It wasn't no dink. It was like bigger than the trout I was catching. So, anyways, I can't wait for you guys to see the video. Hopefully, it'll do it justice. It was a cool little moment to catch, So that'll be coming out. I'll release that some trout video. That members only. You guys got early access to watching my fat butt hike down a hill, huffing and puffing. And then I catch one bass, and then I got to huff and puff my ass back up the hill. So it was funny. Like, I felt like I almost died. I'm even joking. I'm telling myself I'm going to need to be airlifted out. I was laughing because I had cell phone coverage. So I'm like, oh, goodness, I'm going to end up falling over. Fun times. So I hope everybody is having a great Friday night. Why don't you guys let me know in the comments section, what are your plans for this weekend? And any plans for the holidays? Any cool vacation stuff? I'm going stir crazy over here. I want to do something and take a vacation, but I'm just not quite sure what to do because I work for myself. The money that I have is just like it's what's tomorrow's not promised, right? So spending what I do have in the savings when there's not a lot coming in is like stressful. So I got to figure out one good thing and go do it. But I'll be fine. It's just like how it is. Like the fall, man. Spring and fall are tough on guys that do heating and air, especially if they own their own business. So I saved enough from the summer, like a little squirrel. So hopefully it'll last me all the way till when I need it. But we'll see. But anyways, that's why I'm like getting the boat fixed now. Get all this crap done now, while I still have a little bit of my nut left, right? My nuts, whatever, my squirreled away stash, and then we'll see. That didn't sound right. I was like, damn it. Oh, whatever. Yeah, troll myself. Ram Ranch. Oh, good old James David. Where's he at, man? I know all the viewers by name basically now too. That's funny. Anyways, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Stay safe. Make sure you don't get up into any no good fun. Make sure it's fun. Don't get you in trouble. And like I said, stay safe. Hopefully, tight lines if you're fishing. It's been tough, but word has it from a lot of bass fishermen they're graphing them deep right now, but I'm seeing them shallow. I watched the guy catch them shallow, so I don't know how many of them are shallow. I know the trout are planted right now at Don Pedro at Fleming, so I know that's got to have a huge impact at it. I'm assuming most of the bass right now are deeper, probably deep diving crankbaits and maybe even a deep diving jerk bait to work certain times of the day. But Ned rig, A rigs down deep, and drop shots, jigs, anything body bouncing, shaky head, probably work all right. So I can't wait to get to nail him and actually put them on for you guys. Where the stripers at? Delta's slowing down, so I would assume they're probably either way back in the arms where they were headed towards or headed back now towards the ocean area. So I know guys were posting lots of 10 to 25, 30-pound stripers, but the delta's really trailed off. Guys are getting one or two fish now in that range, if that. Lots of little ones are like none. So the bite's starting to slow down over there, but A-rigs, swim baits, is catching the monsters right now in the middle. You don't want to be trying to fish up against the shore or nothing. So just dragging it through those sloughs, the right in the middle. And basically, if they're there, you should be cracking them. If not, move to a different slough or further down the slough. But it's crazy because most of Frank's track right now, they got that wall up in the San Joaquin River. So like half of the delta, it seemed like, was just dead. Like wasn't any tide movement to it. That was the craziest thing to see, man. Out of all my years fishing the delta, I ain't never seen the tide still that all day. It was freaky. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure other people probably have, but not me. I'm like, I never seen it do that before, at least not in the areas I fish. And I fished Frank's track before, but maybe they've done that, but I've never seen him do it before. It was crazy. So it's really choked with weeds right now, not a lot of tidal movement. So it's that place has been awkward where I was at over there, Holland Track and Frank's Track area by Bethel Island. So I would assume I'd like to be up more towards San Joaquin and the Main, probably, out in the Main by the San Joaquin, out into the San Joaquin, or either the sloughs just below down there, launch from Lads. And I'd go fish there, Mildred maybe, head into those areas, head down towards, like, Discovery and all that. But I don't know what's been impacted by that wall, because I'm assuming that with that wall being up, it's going to make the current in the rest of the delta that much stronger and forceful, and then have the height differential be a lot more. They're probably doing it because of the low water levels. So I don't know what's going on, but all I know is that someone told me there's been a dam placed in the San Joaquin River area on the delta, somewhere on the delta on the main, where it connects to Frank's track, and that basically none of that area has tide right now. It's crazy. So I don't know. That could have been changed by now. I haven't been there in a couple weeks, but weird. So the delta is a big giant puzzle, ain't it? So I like to give my crack back out there at the delta, give it a whole nother shot, and try to get out there and smack them. Like I said, I can't wait till everything is cherried back out with a working fish finder, working live well, everything tip top and in safe condition, and ready for tournament season next year. And we'll see how we do. We'll put our money where our mouth is, and at the end of the day too, just go have fun. And I'm also willing to learn, so I like hearing what other people catch them on, when they're telling the truth, if they're like your buddies or something. But when it's someone else, it's like doc talk, it can be like poison. If you're really an analytical person, you don't want to file away the wrong answer in the wrong conditions. Like, oh yeah, next time it's hella windy and the giant waves, throw the drop shot. Yeah, like, no. But yeah, so that's one thing of having a cool little network. There's some people, I've got friends, they'll tell me what they're catching them on. So it helps narrow down, not that I'm going to throw the same stuff, but that someone's catching some fish doing this. And I can start with that, or I can start with other things and then have that in the back of my mind. Because a lot of times what you're doing when you're fishing is you're ruling out what not to do. You're fishing and you're trying all these lures, and when you find what works, what do? You keep doing it, right? Until it stops working. And then you have to find out what else is working. And then when you find out, then, and you got to look for the fish. And then when you find the fish, it's getting them to bite. So those two key things, man. My fish finder has been out of commission for a year. So I am so just looking forward to being able to do some fish finder videos, show you guys how to read your graphs, how to find hidden fish when you can't find them anywhere on the graph. They don't seem to be in the water. You drive around, you check shallow, you check deep. There's nothing suspended, nothing off. You see a fish here or there. That's when they're usually sucked right to the bottom. I can teach you how to find them when they look like the bottom. They'll blend in with the bottom, and they'll have a little tiny shade change, or a shade. There'll be a color difference on the bottom that'll look almost like a little grass patch or something weird, and those will be fish. You drop down on them, drop shot, boom, you'll catch them every time. That's big in the winter. So that's coming up soon. So I'm hoping the boat gets out of the shop soon, and I can put a bunch of cool videos together for you guys. And for my own itch, right? Got to get it scratched. But I'm out here fishing from shore, doing these live streams. I was super excited, honestly, just to tell you guys the tale about how the bass tried to eat my trout. And that's just crazy in itself. And then how the dude came along and threw a trout swim bait exactly like one of my little trout and got him. I was like, that's so awesome. I was happy. I was like, that's the coolest thing. I felt like I partaked in that fish. I'm like, yay. Like, no, the credit don't go to me. Just some of the excitement I get to share. Like, awesome. Like, dude, I got to record that. I got to watch that. I was like, yeah, good job. And, he knew the channel. So that was cool to get to see. Always fun. So, that was my main thing. I was just so excited to share that with you guys and gals. And then other than that, tips and tricks wise, I'd say that I know a lot of guys are graphing them deep. And I know Cook put a video out saying him and Catch 'em Quick Corey were getting them on like the tube. So 1/4 ounce darter head with a tube with a 3.5 inch tube on it, I think. So something like that. Those always work great. If the tube's working, then the Ned rig probably work good too. A skirted Ned rig or a Ned rig, a tube. That's also when a finesse jig will probably work. That's usually a sign that the fish are feeding on something that's on the bottom. That's why why not, a drop shot's good and easy for youth and other people to catch them on. So if you got to use a tube or something, that's a little more skill required, but not necessarily. It just makes bottom contact. So when your weight hits the bottom first and your hook's above it, it's an easier game, I think, for the youth than trying to teach them, like, say, a shaky head, or not a shaky head, but a darter head with a tube. But a darter head with a tube is pretty simple to use. So, that's nice. I don't think they said what depth they're in. So, but I do know I'm seeing fish shallow. So if you're scoring a lot of little fish, don't be afraid to check up shallow right now. I'm swearing to you, there's been some decent fish up shallow. And I'm not saying they're going to always be there either. They move, right? So me and one guy who fishes Pedro quite often, we were chatting, and he was talking about getting 4 and 5 pound bass in a few feet of water. And then the next day when he came back, they're down into like 30 feet of water, and he had to adjust to get them. And then he was getting them one way when they were shallow. Then when he had to go deep, he had to fish a completely different pattern, but he was catching the same quality fish, like that same grouping and schooling of fish, or general size, right? Nice quality 4 and 5 pound bass that were probably eating all the trout. They were right there at Fleming Meadows. And he was on a pattern for when they were up shallower and then when they were deeper. So they're moving right now because they're in no state of, like, getting ready for winter, but also the light change, and they don't have spring forward, fall back, but you know what I'm saying, how the light naturally gets lower in the later parts of the year. The days get shorter, so the fish can sense that water temperature, and everything is kind of mirroring spawn right now. So you're going to have some fish come up for fall spawn, but a lot of them won't. They may even come up to do it one day, and then the next day realize, what am I doing? It ain't spawn, and go back down. And again, I think what I seen today really cemented that, because, and again, remember, I'm not saying all fish do it, or maybe even not a majority of fish, just some. And so I personally seen it today, like a group on like a bed, basically. They wouldn't leave an area, clearly knew I was there, spooked them a couple times, and then I threw every lure under the sun at them, and they hit a freaking giant swim bait. That's textbook swim bait, or textbook spawn story right there. But yet it's fall. So take it with a grain of salt from the guy that has no bass boat and no fish finder right now. But I'm trying to help, trying to give tips and tricks, and also just provide some good old quality entertainment. Put a smile on your face again. Try to be a positive channel here, and keep it just to fishing. We go down some rabbit holes and stuff like that. But in general, I like to keep this educational and entertaining. So thank you guys and gals for watching. I hope you guys and gals don't mind. I'll always be trying to thank you. And, sometimes it might seem a little repetitive, but I just want to make sure if you're tuning in, not always people get a chance to watch this from the beginning straight to the end. So the one thing I want to make sure is abundantly clear is that I really appreciate everybody who comes out, spend some time listening to me, watching me, whatever you're doing, if this is like a podcast, or whether you got this on your TV, or you're just listening to it, or you're here genuinely to try to get some tips and information. Either way, appreciate everybody. You guys are what make me do this and keep going forward with this. Like I said, I don't get paid much, $50-$60 a month, something like that maybe, from YouTube. And it's a dream that one day I could actually have a cool channel with and I don't mean cool, but a good sized channel with a awesome following of people that are like a family, let's say, and a community where we take care of people if we can, and where we're pretty respectful and jovial and fun. We also can talk ish and have a little thick skin, right? So I want to build a nice little community here. We'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, I do this to try to help and for you guys and gals and for my own sanity and fun. You know, I like sitting here and chatting with you guys and gals. I like producing these videos. If you haven't checked it out, I've got a new fishing song. So I feel a little stupid sometimes, but I don't care. I've got like 5 fishing songs now. If I keep it up, another 4 or 5, 6 songs, I actually have a fishing album. But most of them are not completed. They're kind of just conceptual. I probably have like 2, maybe full real songs, and a couple of like spoofs, and not the highest quality things. So, you know, I apologize, but hey, I put it out there for fun. It's something I truly like doing, so I hope you guys don't mind. I try to keep my rapping fishing related, so that way I can post it on here. You know, and hey, maybe one day we'll have a Weird Al style album for the channel, right? So, and then it's just cool history. We'll be able to look back and be like, remember when you thought you were a rapper, dude? You know, and I've got a big YouTube channel. You guys can make fun of me. They'd be like, remember during your live streams when you would like hang out with Casper and then rap? Be like, oh, sound like I'm in high school again, right? But hey, that's having a good time, having fun. You know, thank you guys and gals again. So, like I said, I'm gonna say it a million times. But tips and tricks wise, it's tough. It's fall. All I can say is time on water. So the more you're out there, the better you're gonna do. Um, just remember the good old tips that try to pay attention to the weather when you get a snap of warming versus when you get a snap of really cold. Usually the cold's going to push them down and low. The warming might bring them up. Even if it's, especially if it's cloud cover and warm, that can also bring them out. If it's cloud cover and freezing, that may bring them out a little bit, you know, if it's cloud cover and cold. But usually that's the same principles. They're going to be low and slow. They may be moving a little bit more, but there's certain tropes, right? To try to remember that when it's warm, the fish's metabolism usually are going to be a little more active, right? But if it's real bright and sunny, the fish may be active and smashing around, especially in the winter because the sun's not directly above head. But sometimes the fish don't like that and they go deep, right? Um, so on like a clear, sunny when it's winter and it's been 40 or 50-degree highs in the day, and then 33 at night to 30 at night, and it's really freaking cold, and that water temperature is, you know, in the 40s or something, you're gonna have bass that are basically sometimes they will turn active and on. Blade baits, like an actual blade bait, not an LV 500, but a blade bait, float and fly, drop shot, stuff like that. Ned rig's going to kill it. There are times when the A rig will work in the winter slow rolled. So winter is a whole different beast. Now there's, like I said, so there are certain like genuine, just like most fishermen know them type guideline things. Maybe I should do a like the most common rules that you should know as a bass fisherman. But the problem is the fish break them all the time, and most guys can't even agree on them. So there is like common things, like ideas that most bass fishermen share, right? But even then may differentiate on certain things. You got guys that believe that color doesn't really matter. You got guys that swear color up and down. I'm more leaning towards it doesn't matter, but there are probably times when it does. So circumstances, right? Fishing is unique. Each lake and river system, pond, each puddle of water that holds anything, any fish in it may fish different, you know, depending on its conditions. So time on water right now especially is important in the fall, and because the fish are doing so much rapid changing, you know, going from that summer to now getting ready for the winter, they're usually active and feeding up. However, can be some really tough times. And usually when it gets really cold, they'll start chewing good when you get that first really cold snaps. So bite should improve, and then it should start to taper off into a slow winter bite coming here in December. So as we get into the end of November, we should see the end of that fall bite starting to fall off, early December, and then you get into that winter really really cold bite where things don't move very fast or often, and that anything that wobbles needs to have a tight wobble. So that's why a blade bait is really cool. Not something that does this, but something that does like this, right? You don't want a lot of movement. You want reality or realism. You want to be slow in a lot of instances, or quick little darts and then slow, quick little darts and then slow, like a blade bait. OV500 jerk baits can work when the fish are up on rocks trying to get some like sun or something, or when they're chasing, if the bait fish, if there is any, if depending on the temperatures, right? A lot of bait fish will die off or they go down to a certain depth. So something like the jerk bait can really be out of the question unless the fish are up in that top water column or near that. But the thing is that the water can be so clear, so crystal clear in the winter when you have a nice day. Sometimes that jerk bait, those fish with long pauses will bring those fish up. So, but blade baits, floating flies, Ned rig, drop shot, all that's going to be turning on soon. Right now, they're in an off and on phase where sometimes that's what works. Sometimes they want stuff like more reaction. They want jigs. They want, a blade bait, and a lot of the times you can always catch them with something like a drop shot, a tube, a Ned rig, a small enough jig that isn't super crazy honker. Like all year long, you can throw those lures and at least pull a few in usually. It's just figuring out how to get the bigger fish in the numbers, right? That's about like tournament fishing, right? And just trying to get better at fishing in general. And again, right now with fall, time on water. So I like to try to give tips and tricks and help out. I've done a lot for the fall. Right now, without a boat, I don't want to be that guy that talks out his ass. So it's like right now, I really don't know until I get out on the lake and find out. Then I can tell you guys what I'm seeing. I can tell you what other people have said or what I've read throughout the years. I can tell you what I've experienced in other years, in my experience. But this year, I have no clue yet because I'm not out there on the boat right now. Fish finder's not working. And I think we're in an El Nino year with wet weather. We have fog. We haven't had fog in like a while. All these point to signs of a wet year. We've had more rain already this last month than we had most of last year, it seemed like. So I believe, hopefully if we maintain this, we'll have some good news. But it's really easy for the rain to just stop. And then we go into a drought, and that sucks. I have no idea, but it feels like we're entering that kind of year. Fishing's usually different under these conditions, so I don't know if the last 5 years or 4 years, if the experiences will mirror. Because, like I said, if you know the weather here, we usually in California area here, we go through El Nino, La Nina, where it's usually 4 or 5 years of wet and rain, high humidities, and then 4 or 5 years of drought, dry, higher temps. Excuse me. Woo! So, that's why, again, I don't want to be that dude talking out the side of me boot. I just want to have fun, talk to you guys. Hey, how's it going, Marco? So a few things before we get off tonight. Remind everybody, giveaway is next week. So for all the members, thank you guys. Giveaways next week. And also Christmas. We're going to have a Merry Christmas. I'm just hanging out, doing the live stream. I got to watch a bass try to eat my trout today. It was pretty cool Pretty crazy, man. Bass tried to eat my trout, and then the dude came along with a swim bait and caught it. I caught a bunch of trout. Had a fun time. Hard catching the bass. I got one, but waiting for my boat to get out of the shop. That's the recap. So I hope everybody's doing good. I know it's Friday, so I hope you guys have a blessed weekend. Now, couple of little recaps for what's going to be happening next week and in the next couple months. We have some polls. So nice. Cheers, brother. So we have some polls online right now that are asking you guys, what do you guys want to see in the giveaways? So this month's November giveaway, there's a poll out asking, do you guys want like terminal tackle? Do you want a big swim bait? Or do you want like custom lures like Mega Bass, LV500, stuff like, River to Sea? What do you guys want? And then there's another one in January. The giveaway is going to be a rod and reel. So I wanted to know what kind of rod and reel you guys want. Thanks, Cali Bear. Appreciate it. So go leave your vote. Let me know what you guys think on all that good stuff. And, that's all coming up. Christmas, I got gifts for every member. All members are going to get something special from me. So big thank you guys. And then we're going to have a Christmas giveaway for everybody. So subscribers will all be eligible for that. You don't have to be a member. And that's all coming up here soon. So we're doing the toy drive. So if you guys get a chance, if you know anybody that wants to help, we're kind of struggling this year. Toy drive's not doing as good as it was last year. We've got about a month left. I've got a few boxes of toys. I've got about 7 bikes and a bunch of like little toddler bikes and some other stuff, but we're not doing too great. We need to, in my eyes, I'd love to do better than this. So hopefully we can go on a few fishing trips and get that done, but the boat's in the shop, so kind of sucks, to have this bad timing for all that, so it's usually this time of year we close out, we do a few trips, and it helps, get the toy drive finished up. So, but hey, we'll do what we can. So if you guys get a chance, if you see any of the toy drive posts, share them on Facebook, let people know. And then if you know anybody in need, we're probably going to try to sponsor a family through YouTube. So someone local, if you guys know anybody, we're probably going to do a, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll figure it out, or maybe submit something and then we'll pick somebody at random, and try to help take care of Christmas for someone local. I'm back and trash phone died. What's your email? My email is commonsensefishing@gmail.com. But I have an email you can see online here. But nice to see you on Keeping It Real. Just letting everybody know about our giveaways that we got coming up. Talking about the toy drive, and just finished up the story. The recap of everything. So. Oh, excuse me. That's heartburn stuff right there. Woo-wee. Cranberry juice. Pure, like, whoa. Super strong. That stuff's good for you, though. Clean out your kidneys and your liver. Now, I think we're going to be popping off here soon. Nice. All right, Keeping It Real. So we're fishing Sunday for sure, right? Because I've got this, saved for you, basically. Go fishing. Oh, Cali Bear, that'd be great. I'm down to take you fishing anytime as soon as the boat gets out of the shop. Otherwise, we can go shore fish, but all right, cool, perfect. So I'll get my GoPros charged and ready tomorrow. My son's got a soccer game, so I'm going to take him to a soccer game. I'm going to produce a couple of my YouTube videos, get them set up to come out Monday, and Tuesday for members only early access. And then the members only video is going to get turned off so that it'll come out probably Monday for the public. And then, yeah, we're going to go fish Tulik. So, oh man, I'm willing to go anywhere, bro. I'll go to the forebay. I'll go to the Delta. I'll go to any lake or pond. As long as it's legal and we won't get like arrested or get a ticket, I'll go anywhere and fish in the state of California that I can get to in reasonable time. I even got like Danny's Kitchen and a couple other dudes from down south to follow. It'd be really cool to go down to like Southern California and do some fishing with them. But yeah, I'm totally open, man. I'm easy going. I fished with already almost all of my members already. So the ones that haven't, hopefully we can link up and fish soon. Like Marco, we'll go fishing. But I've been out with Hella Fino, Charles Chalk, been out with Keeping It Real, Old Dirty Bassin, most of them. So like to get a couple of the other guys, get Mike out or something like that. But I've been with a lot of the subscribers too, the regular dudes. Last year, when Kelsey was open, we went on a shit ton of trips. Unfortunately, with Kelsey being, no longer an option, that's what really stunted the toy drive this year. I don't ever like asking for charity. So all I ask is if you know anybody who's willing to help out or wants to be involved with this, yes, I'm doing a toy drive. We're going to take care of Christmas for as many kids as we can this year. And, we'll see how many we can take care of. It's not a competition. I wanted to do better than last year, but what did I think? Last year I had Kelsey Bass Ranch for free, basically. I had a year membership so I could take people there and everybody wanted to go. This year it's just been a lot slower. Plus, I know that inflation's hit, supply chain crisis, stores have empty shelves. So it's a different situation this year too. But, I want to try to help. I'm even thinking about starting a 501c3 or whatever they're called, a second business, because I own my own HVAC business, C20 contractor. I do heating and air. So I would like to potentially turn this toy drive fishing thing to make any money off it. Just want whatever I generate or make to go towards the toy drive. And that's that. So then, you can save a little on your taxes basically by having it as a 501c3. So I have a nonprofit. I could pay myself if I ended up getting a lot, but I would never do that because any dollar that I took, I'd feel I was robbing a kid of like Christmas. So everything that comes in goes out, and then some. I usually spend a couple grand of my own money every year. I wish Kelsey was still open because that thing sure did really drive a good amount of those toy drives. And then it don't help having the boat out of commission. But whether you're religious or not, I'm not overly religious. I'm more of a spiritual person myself. But I do like to say, God has a plan. Everything, in its due time. So just got to have patience and faith. And be positive. Things will work out, and then even when they don't, stuff bad does happen. You just got to be able to deal with it like a champ. And, it's how you deal with the bad times that'll show, because then when you get the good times, you just enjoy it, but can't overly stress when stuff don't go your way. That ain't how, life, you lay out these plans and life wrecks them every time. Just like fishing, you may, like, this was something I used to do, and I never really understood it until just recently, is we would say, well, what lake are we going to? Okay, we're going to this lake, and get all my different lures tied up for that lake for this time of year. So I'd be like, well, if we're going to a clear lake with clear water and it's winter, I'm going to bring a drop shot, a Ned rig, a shaky head, a LV 500, and a blade bait. And I get all honed in. That's what I'm going to use. and I tie all my stuff up. Then you get there and you fish all those things, and you either catch them or you don't. But if you had just not tied anything up, you get there, you absorb the moment. You fish the moment, right? You get there, you take in what are the conditions? How's the wind? How does it feel? What's the sky? What's the water temp? And then you just go by ear and you start fishing and you tie on intuition, right? And you have a plan in a sense, but it's got to be fluid, right? Because just like in life, you can lay out this plan. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to throw this, that, and this, whatever, in the third. And then when you get there, it just blows up. You lose half your lures, or you don't get nothing on everything you thought you were going to get something on. And then the worst lure you know, or whatever, the least one you thought you'd get, next thing you know, you're getting them on that, if you're lucky to get them at all, right? So that's life. It's fun ride, ain't it? You only get one. That's why you better live it and love it. That's my motto. Try to be a nice, positive person. That's why I like helping with fishing. That's why I like helping just in general, you know. I don't know. Hope it rubs off. Hope some of these tips and tricks rub off. And then at the end of the day, do something nice for somebody else. And the world's a better place if we all just did that, wouldn't it be? You know? Hopefully one day we'll get these live streams built up into a nice big community, and we can do some other things and use some influence and power to really actually do some good stuff instead of just make money. You know what I mean? That would be awesome. So with that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off tonight. We got 3 really loyal fans on hanging out. I appreciate you guys, everybody else who's been on. But it sucks when I see, you know, how many people are watching. You get yourself in like a not really depressed, but you're like, there's only this many on. So I like to grow it to where we end up having a nice big channel and nice big community. So we're working on it. But yeah, I don't really know what much to say right now, honestly, other than just chatting at you guys and telling like from my heart. Because like I'm not out on the water that much. I don't have a boat right now. And then when I did, my fish finder was out of commission. So I'm really excited to what I can bring to the channel again, what I used to be able to bring. And hopefully we can increase growth and see some more productivity and better fishing. And I'd like to just grow and get better as a fisherman. But I really need my fish finder and all this stuff. So I'm excited. It's just like, I wish I had done this sooner. So right now it's kind of that like lull before the storm, right? Where there's nothing really going on. So, but I appreciate you guys and gals hanging out with me. So have a good night. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. We'll be back Monday for another live stream. Don't forget, we're going to be doing the giveaway probably Wednesday next week. And yeah, so me and Keeping It Real be out at Lake Tulik this Sunday. So wish us luck. And we'll see a video coming out sometime next week of that. As long as Keeping Real is cool with it, if we don't give away our secrets, right? Because somebody might have a tournament out there. So I might have to hold that footage till after that tournament's over, especially if we do good. If we don't do good and we suck, well, maybe I still might. Well, I just probably won't release a video, right? So, because then you can teach the guys what not to do. Say, well, don't do what these fools did. They fished all day and only got one fish. And this guy said they were doing this and that and this and that. So, right, as long as it's after the 20th. Later, guys. Thanks for watching. Jumping on just for a quick one tonight. We'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks for the support. Don't forget, giveaway coming. So please share the videos next week. Let's help grow the channel. Smash that like if you haven't took off yet. You guys have a good night. Thank you very much.